Yasu Malaka. A former Wendy's employee has admitted to shitting in the chili for 2 years. Joke's on Wendy's. I haven't even been able to afford fast food since COVID. Take that, you redheaded bitch. Welcome to the Malaka podcast. Computer Love, part 86.
Ideally, I would love someone handsome, but if your insides are handsome, I can forgo the outsides. Hi, my name is Cynthia Marshall. What I like to do for fun is bake, whether it's a meaty casserole or a veggie casserole or a cake. I like to fill my friends' bellies.
You know, if she's born with a vagina, which in 2026 you have to ask every woman now, I'm in. I don't. I'm in. I mean, the Peggy Bundy haircut works for me. I don't care. I fucking loved Married with Children. Oh shit, there's more.
I work in a travel agency, and so I help book people's dream vacations, whether it's Cabo or Boston or Florida, and it's usually a lot of honeymooners. And that is so fun. A newly wedded couple having the time of their lives. I enjoy drawing. I can draw just from my memory, and so if we have a really good date, that second date, I might show up with a picture of us. I would like to go on a date to a county fair and get my hands sticky with a boy and hopefully kiss. I think you can tell a lot about a person by how they kiss. Although I haven't dated, I have experienced a lot of things that I would love to show you.
Ladies and gentlemen, where are these women now? Like what? Like I'm gonna pray that some lucky son of a bitch, to quote the late great Bernie Mac, has gotten this woman pregnant, and she's made tons of daughters with this mentality. Okay, hopefully they didn't end up on Epstein Island, but listen, like seriously, like like how the fuck is she single? Assuming this is real. And again, I have to ask, vagina, check. Hopefully not AI, check. She's already wearing a shirt that looks like, I don't know, like if like the Avengers hired someone to, maybe be on call to be a superhero, almost like a Power Ranger kind of thing. But at the same time, she can, make a casserole like that. This woman is awesome. Like, what the fuck? Like, really? I mean, like, the frustrations of online dating today, right? I mean, it's not the. I mean, there's no one even close to this. Like it's. I've given up. This is episode 86. I'm not going to give up for my 3 fans. No worries. But, again, if you want to, somehow help me out here, I mean, fine. I'm in my. I'm going to be 44 soon. So I got to assume if this was made in the 80s, if she did have daughters, maybe. I'm assuming somebody had to scoop up this video right after and just said, fuck it, I'm in. I mean, assuming she can cook, that she probably has daughters out there, worst case, late 30s, but, I don't think there's any women out there like this anymore. I don't think so. I'm almost absolutely positive. And, I don't want to sound sexist or nothing. So, I'm sure ladies out there, I mean, there's no dudes that are like this too, right? I mean, probably not. I mean, yeah, we're all screwed here. But, if you feel, screwed and bored one day, please subscribe to my channel. What a segue. At the Malaka Podcast 416. And if you're really bored, you like some kick-ass videos on TikTok, I've already been kicked off twice. I already got 2 strikes on my 3rd time here. It's only a matter of time before I get kicked off again. But if you want to see what else is out there, it's at the Malaka Podcast 647. Or just type in the Malaka Podcast on TikTok. You'll find me. Okay? Don't be a Vlaka, support a Malaka. And if you're a fan of Chuck Norris, I know more random shit, go on YouTube, put at the Chuck Norris channel. You will not be sad. You'll be happy because Chuck Norris, I'm assuming had lots of sex with women in the 80s, and I'm sure he might have had sex with this woman. I would not be surprised. I mean, she said something about getting sticky, right? Something, but she's not experienced, and this is just literally the perfect woman. But again, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you, situations that I've experienced online. Unfortunately, there's I like to think it's going to get better, but I think we all know it's not. But let me just share my experiences with you. Maybe you can relate. Maybe. You've never gone through shit like this. Like if you haven't, God bless you, but here goes. So there's one profile I came across, and she put a bunch of stars, or asterisks, I think that's what they're called, between this message. And then on top, she put something, I don't know, it could be Chinese. I don't know what that symbol means. Illuminati. Who knows at this point? Do we really care if there's Illuminati out there? Does it really affect us? Really? Who cares? Okay, let them just do their own thing. Who cares? I mean, they're doing good jobs with the music and the music industry over the years. Just if they're not in your way, fuck it. So she said, taller than 5'8". Okay, tons of exclamation marks after. At least looks like 5. Don't message if you're 5'7". So, which again, ladies, leave your comments. Is this a major problem if a guy is short? And I've been told by a few ladies, yeah, it is a huge problem. They'll say they're a certain height, and they're not. Me personally, I'm 6'1". I'm not afraid to say that. I think I'm a little bit taller with shoes, but, I've only been questioned once on a date. She thought I was lying about my height. I don't know why I would do that. The irony is, like maybe, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes later, she was still shorter than me. Not because she was, but because, she blew me. But the point is, I just like to know if it is... she brought me some really good Rice Krispie squares too, like caramel Rice Krispie. It was good. But then she said she was seeing another guy, and it was a whole, look, the point is, Rice Krispie squares are awesome. But like, is it that important for women out there to have a guy that is taller than them? I'm just curious. Just, let's just get it all out there, shall we? No cancers. No Aquariuses. So she's very specific what she wants. She's been fucked over by many signs in the zodiac, and she needs a tall guy. Okay? It must be frustrating a lot of times to use a step stool to reach for that last can of tuna. I understand. I've gone to many supermarkets, and I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, can you please get me something on the top shelf? And it's come in handy for me too. Because I'll see a shelf is cleared of all the things that are on sale. And then I'll look on top there. I'll reach on for the main thing there, and I'll grab something, and oh, where'd you get that? I'm like, it's mine. Leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. But I try to help out, and spread the love. Huh? Not looking for hookups or to chill. Okay, so you know, no, no fucking on the first date, and then bouncing. I get it. If you do have sex with her in the future, she doesn't want to chill after. I get it. Back to work. Start as friends. Establish if there's a connection or not, and progress from there. I'm very intellectual. So enlightened. So enlighten me with your thoughts and goals. Because being just sex based will never work for me. I'm extremely inquisitive with the right person. Okay. Well, aren't we all though? I mean, like if ever go on a date and then like you tell the person's like, you can tell they're stupid, it's not, and maybe they're not stupid, they're just not on your level, and you're like, fuck, and you're kind of like looking at all the exits, you're like, if I go that way, then, it could work, but then, I don't know where I am, and she is my ride, and, it's -20 outside, and, I just, things to factor in, but the point is, some people know exactly what they want, but it does seem like over time that women do want a guy that is taller than them. So, that's as long as you tell us ahead of time, that's fine. And guys, again, ladies, I can't speak for you. Listen. I find the shorter the woman, the better the tits. Is that just me? I don't know. Who knows? Was that the right thing to say? Who cares? But the point is, guys, be honest about your height, because you show up in person, unless you're wearing lifts or something, it's going to backfire. And then eventually, maybe she does like you. The shoes are going to have to come off. You know, I, you know, and nobody's fucking in Nikes. You know what I mean? Well, maybe basketball players to save time, whatever. But still, just try to be honest about the height, and go from there, huh? All right. So this one profile, I just see one picture, and she has very dark hair and probably the bluest eyes I've ever seen on a woman. It is, but that's it. Like it just focuses on that part. I don't even see her whole nose, and I don't. It's I don't know. Is she German? Who knows? But I mean, the profile didn't help. It starts off by saying 80% sociopath. Oh boy. Then graveyards, black heart, dogs, black heart, thunderstorms. Like all together, or I mean, Ugh. Be respectful or don't bother. Okay, a little irony there, but just I don't think this is one of the daughters or possible daughters from the videotape I played before of Ms. Bundy there. But the point is, again, like you want to be honest in a profile, but maybe you don't want to be that honest, But then maybe it gets to a point where it's like, hey, I just don't care, And that's what happens online. You do this long enough, and you get a little frustrated. I'm not gonna lie. You want to have some fun with people, and you before you know it, you end up in a graveyard, and I've heard people doing that, like on Halloween. Which, by the way, to all the Halloween lovers out there, Halloween is not a holiday. Okay, I like Halloween too, but it's not a holiday. Would I like it to be a holiday? Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. But it's not. Okay, so let's get past this, huh? Once October 1st hits, let's get through Thanksgiving. I mean, I'm assuming you're Canadian, but that's a holiday. There you go. But Halloween is not a holiday. But I've heard people go on dates, to a graveyard, Have they ever come back? I don't know. Maybe their last vision they saw was an empty grave and going, wow, that's a deep hole, clink. You just don't know with people. So I would, I'd avoid that, walking through the rain. Dogs, nobody likes a wet dog, because then they, do the twist thing, and then they splash all over the place, and they look at you like, you're the one with the problem, and it's just it's stupid. But the point is, say what you want out there, I guess, but within reason. Try to pretend that you're trying to attract a normal guy instead of a vampire, and I don't know. Let's see where it goes. So this one person I was talking to, simple shit back and forth, because that never gets tiring. I say, hi, how are you? I'm good, how are you? At this point, I'm just trying to be nice, and I said, decent. How's the site treating you? And she goes, rough, rough, very, rough. I get it. You can hear the frustration in my voice now. I'm not complicated. My situation is. It's hard to find a friend who is understanding of what I'm going through and still want to talk when I'm done telling this story. This is going to be a good one. So in my head, I'm like, okay, jackpot. I just. I just don't want to end up in a grave. But yeah, and I text her back. I said, "Oh, this will be good." Explain. Sends me the laughing emoji face there. And well, buckle in, folks. I got into some trouble a long, long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away, or yeah, you had to deal with gold robots too, who may or may not be straight. They were gay, right? I mean, listen, I don't give two shits about Star Wars. They were gay, right? I mean, both of them, right? I mean, I don't care who's gay or not. I'm just saying, like, they were, I mean, if you think about it, was the R2D2 and C3PO. I still don't know which one was which. C3PO was the little one, right? The blue and white garbage can there. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like if you're going out with him, he's just the right height. So anyways, blowjob. I'm dealing with some legal matters and currently connected to an ankle monitor. Oh, fuck. Don't judge, says you. You don't know me. Laughing emoji face. So again, I don't think she's one of the daughters of the VHS video woman either. But I mean, she could be. You never know. I mean, you hear stories about nice parents and then they have fucked up kids because they're trying to get out of their kid's shadow and whatever. And yeah, I mean, the robots were definitely gay, right? I mean, I said the one joke there, just the right height, because I remembered when Jimmy Kimmel went to Snoop Dogg's house with Adam Carolla, and he saw that one little statue with all the joints, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. I like to think that, like I was talking about height before, like we don't really care about height. We don't care, we just don't care. Some of us care about the, crimes that you might have done in the past. So let's keep going here. So, of course, I'm just playing along here. I said, no worries. What did you do? And I said, can you leave the house? And she said, I can leave my house. Well, whew, thank God for that. I didn't do what they charged me with. This old tale. I'm in the bracelet because I'm on appeal. Oh, okay. I see. Okay, so you didn't do it. Listen, maybe she didn't do it. I don't know. I'm just fucking around here. But maybe she didn't do it. Maybe she, her and OJ. Maybe, she didn't do it. So she said she stayed in two different places, which that it kind of throws me off because if you have an ankle bracelet, you can't leave the one space. So now she's naming two cities. I stay in and I'm like, huh? So I'm like, all right, I'll keep playing along because I have a podcast of that three people listen to. What did you not do? What they said you did? I don't know, it's turning into like 60 minutes here. And she said, second degree. Uh, um, and then, I, I, I'm trying to be kind here. So I'm trying to, but at the same time, try to, like when you interview someone, you don't want to sound dumb, but you got to play dumb a little bit. Like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, really? I wasn't aware of this. I mean, Howard Stern is great at doing that. Yeah, he'll, any shit will go on in that studio, or it used to. Artie Lang, we miss you. But the point is, you got to kind of play along. Play a little dumb. So I say, you mean murder? And I said, uh-oh. Then she didn't say anything for a few hours. Maybe she had to, I don't know, talk to her lawyer about what she can or can't say here. And then, I wrote down a question mark because it's like Dirty Harry style. I got to know. And then she said, yes, it's a long story. And again, I'm with you to the end. I spent 7.5 years in prison before I was released on bail. Okay, so I mean, I don't have to say anything at this point, right? I mean, listen, people do crimes. Okay, I listen to one of my podcasts. I said, it's titled, I'm not trying to sell my shit here, but it's called Crime Doesn't Pay. Okay, and I tell my two major stories about the law. Okay, so we all done shit, we all learned from it, blah 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 blah. Redemption story. It's made into a movie, and hopefully we see a few bucks. But so far it's not looking good. Let's just say that. But give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's see where this goes. I am guilty of a crime, but not that one. Okay, so there you go. And again, I told her, I said, listen, I'm all ears. And I said, so sorry, I'm confused. So you're guilty of second-degree murder, but spent 7.5 years in jail for a crime you didn't commit. Okay, so I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to figure shit out. Then she said, just because they find you guilty doesn't mean you're guilty. Now, I did mention OJ before, right? Okay. So, again, let's see where this goes. I'm sure everyone says it, but I had no involvement to do that degree. Okay. She's got to be careful with her words here. So she had no involvement to that degree. Now, does she mean the second degree murder, or does she mean like she was involved in the situation, but not where it got to that point? So, all right, let's this is my life, ladies and gentlemen. My boyfriend at the time stabbed my uncle to death. Oh. I was involved in the sense that we had gone to my uncle's for a fight. My boyfriend took a knife without my knowledge, and I believe had a plan to hurt my uncle severely. Okay. So we want to, again, give people the benefit of a doubt. But, when you go out with someone, when you're married to someone, you should know what you should know if they're a little nuts. Just maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my old school of thinking. I know there's a lot of millennials out there and Gen Z that kind of just go with the flow. I like to know a little bit more of a backstory when I go out with someone or gonna pursue a relationship with someone. If I introduce them to a family member, will they shake their hand or just chop it off? I don't know. But, you'd like to think you get the sense, before that. So, okay. Okay. I mean, no, clearly nobody's perfect. So she said, so I sat until, my day came up in court. I've been out on bail pending appeal since, whatever the date. Yeah. And then I even just made the joke to her. I said, the OJ defense, LOL. Wow. I'm sorry. Uh, you know, and then, picking up the pieces has been just about impossible and almost feel defeated, And before that, she said, "I'm sorry too." So it's okay. I mean, well, it's not okay, but let's assume she had nothing to do with it. Let's assume, uh, you know, she didn't, uh, like, order the shit on Amazon, and one day it would be, shown in a courtroom. Let's just assume. Let's assume. And then she said, finding love after all this has been challenging. Oh, no shit. And, I said, I would think so, and then I had to ask her, I said, like, why did your ex go after your uncle? And she said, there was a feuding beef between all of us for days. Why he took it that far, I'm not really sure. And then I said, what was the beef about? I mean, it had to, I'm not trying to condone this behavior, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying, I mean, it takes a certain mentality, you see some of the documentaries on Netflix, it just doesn't happen overnight, and I said, like, did you ever ask him? And he said, I can't get into details. Yeah, I mean, yeah, why go into details now? And again, ladies and gentlemen, I've never met this person. We haven't even exchanged numbers yet. Okay, so let me just, but again, yeah, that's right. You don't want to share a lot of details, right? Nor do I want to. Never should have happened. That's about all I can say. He's doing his time, and I'm trying to resolve mine. And I said, okay. And I guess as a joke or trying to soften the situation, I guess, I said, you're pretty gangster, LOL. And then that's it. I don't know if I closed the conversation. I don't know if she did, but I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, if in real life this case is actually closed or not, but time will tell. I'll let you know if I have to show up as a witness one day in court because what I've said here. But what have we learned here? We've I think the main thing we've learned here is like if you're gonna go out with someone who is possibly insane and someone who wants to, attempt harm on others. For the most part, if you're a guy, you should be tall. I actually, you know what? Now going back to watching all those Friday the 13th movies, I mean, he wasn't much of a talker, but he was tall. I mean, he could, he could handle his own shit. But In all honesty, folks, uh, please try to refrain from dating someone who will, bring harm on to others. And I don't think it matters if someone is tall or short. As long as they're, somewhat normal. That's I think that's the real key to take from all this. Just really do your research on someone, and you know, she said there was a feuding between them for days. So like, why would you go over there, like even with him, and be part of this shit or not part of this shit? Or technically, you will be. I mean, judging by your ankle jewelry, you will be eventually part of this shit. So why take a chance? Go out with someone who's normal. Like even if they're 5'2", yeah, take a chance. It's better to be disappointed on a date than it is to show up in court. So that's I think that's my motto for the day. So, but ladies and gentlemen, as far as I know, this has been a court-free podcast of Computer Love, part 86.